So
That's
just
right.
talk about this journey of bringing this startup to life.
Yeah. And that's like, as you started to say, that's why I call it the mother of all startups. So it's in a place that people don't think about it being, it is changing the narrative and the story. And naturally, some people are going to be resistant to that. It's a museum, which is a tough thing to do anyway. It is a nonprofit, so I can't give folks a return. And on top of that, before I took on the job, it had been around for 15 or more years. And didn't have the traction that it needed. So we had to overcome the stigma around, is this thing ever going to happen? I jumped into it with a whole lot of energy, a whole lot of optimism, and not a whole lot of wisdom or not a whole lot of insight into what I was actually getting myself into. But fortunately, it's really an interesting thing, because what I have learned through that experience was that, it's at the end of the day, it's not about the money. It's not about the title. It's not about the industry. It really is about the significance of the work.
Yeah.
And so that kept me going. That and a donor, investor, partner, friend who believed the same thing. I've never said this out loud before, but I think we kind of had a unspoken deal that, I would keep, if I kept showing up to work, he'd keep writing a check every now and then. And so we kind of have lived out that deal.
Those are important partners.
Those are important partners, absolutely. And so, but that's what it takes to get it done. And
that
then,
is, yeah.
The team that has come on board over time to kind of jump in and get it done. But it really has required overcoming those things. And so it was interesting on the front end of it. I was insistent I would wear a suit and tie every day to work. And it was to make a point that this was a business. I remember I changed the domain email setup from first names only to first initial last name to say that this is not a casual undertaking. We're going to set up our email domains just like any other business would. And I wanted to do little things like that to make the point that we're serious and we're focused. People would see me out and moving around and from 7 a.m. to 8 or 9 o'clock at night, speaking, meeting, talking to people. Lots of times not asking for money, but just telling the story.
Yeah.
And doing a lot of listening. So one of the things I've learned through this process is, those who want to support you need a reason. They need justification. And if you listen to them, they'll tell you. They'll give you the objection that they have. And they'll essentially say to you, this is like in any business, they'll say, listen, this is why I'm not buying today. And so if you can overcome that objection, then maybe I'll buy the product. And so there are things that we had to do along the way to identify the objections and then overcome them. So we had to hire a strong curatorial team to say, what is the story we're going to tell in the museum? There was one donor in particular in town that pushed me on that. And it took me 7 months to come back to him and answer his question. But when I did, he said, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
And so things like that, that we've had to do to overcome the objections and keep fighting and getting it done.
You